Industrial revolution? More like global pollution. We're currently experiencing global warming, petroleum depletion, air pollution, toxic chemical spills, overrun landfills, and over 35 billion tons of plastic in our oceans. Where does it stop? What are we going to do? Most of us feel helpless because the problems are just so big, we feel like it's out of our hands. But what if I told you there's a way to clean up our industrial mess with just one plant? I'm what's considered to be a hydroorganic specialist who's worked within the cannabis industry for the past 18 years. And with my time in the industry, I can assure you I've learned a lot about hemp. I've seen what it can do. And so today, I'd like to talk to you about why America needs to be an economy that runs off of hemp, not petroleum. I'd like to do this by first going over our current environmental issues associated with the use of petroleum and telling you about how hemp can not only fix our current problems, but prevent our future ones as well. So let's begin with a quick reminder of what our nation's petroleum dependency is doing to our planet with its use of plastics, fuel, pollution, and depletion. First problem I want to talk to you about is the fact that we currently use petroleum to make our plastic, which until recently we thought was recyclable. Turns out it's not feasible. And according to an article published by NPR on September 11th, 2020, just a few days ago, after a massive internal investigation was done, they found that Big Oil spent millions of dollars on advertising to mislead the public into believing that plastic was recyclable. Why? Because if the public thought that recycling was working, they'd be less concerned about the environment. Well, it worked. And in fact, because of it, we now have over 400 million tons of plastic going into our landfills annually. But what's worse is up to 40% of that is single-use plastic. It's disgusting. We're literally swimming in plastic. Trash, soil leaking, toxic chemicals into our waterways, it's literally making us sick. But not only that, we also use petroleum to fuel our cars and power our factories, which day in and day out is polluting our airs with tons of carbon emissions. Now, because we're so heavily dependent on petroleum to produce our plastic and fuel, we're also currently depleting our planet of its natural resources in petroleum reservoirs. In fact, according to Lasse Hellethan, the director of Norwegian University of Science and Technology, if we continue and manage to fully deplete our planet of its petroleum, there's a good chance we're going to activate our planet's fault lines, which means more earthquakes, more volcanic eruptions, and massive waves. It's not a pretty picture because it's basically like setting us up to play real-life Jumanji. I don't know how it got this bad, but I do know where we can go from here, which leads me to our solution. Hemp. Yes. Hemp was just legalized in 2018, and although we don't currently have the infrastructure needed to process it, if we did, hemp could single-handedly help us with our plastic, fuel, petroleum problems, along with the pollution. So I'd like to begin by showing you how hemp can help us with our plastic problem by producing biodegradable plastics. So, hemp can be processed into a biodegradable plastic, which, as you can see here, degrades back to its natural form in less than 3 months. Hemp plastic is pesticide-free and non-toxic and fully 100% recyclable and biodegradable. Not to mention, it's both lighter and 3.5 times stronger than regular plastic. Yes. That's not all hemp can do. Hemp can also be made into ethanol, which is a biofuel. In the industry, we call it hemp ethanol or hempylene, which we could use to switch from running our cars and factories off gasoline to hempylene, which would help our environment because it burns clean. You don't believe me? Henry Ford actually produced the first car made 100% out of hemp in the 1930s. And according to an article published on February 2nd, 1941 from the New York Times, the car that he made was 300% times lighter than regular cars. And it was also 10 times stronger than steel, because hemp is the strongest fiber known to mankind. And also, a little known fact about the Model T. The Model T was also made to run off either hempylene or gas. If Henry Ford could do it back then, why can't we now? And lastly, hemp can majorly help us clean up our pollution problem. How? Well, it starts with how the plant grows. The plant, when it grows, it actually cleans up, it sucks more CO2 and carbon emissions out of our environment than trees. Up to 30%, in fact. In fact, for every 1 ton of hemp produced, it sucks 1.64 tons of carbon out of our air. It doesn't just stop there. Hemp also helps us clean up our toxicities out of the soil because it sucks up heavy metals and toxins, replenishing our soil. This was actually put to the test in 2001, as according to Rolling Stone magazine, after Chernobyl's nuclear plant exploded in the early 1990s, a team of German scientists tested hemp by putting on a test plot of land to see if it could actually clean the soil. And what they found was it could. In fact, hemp was able to extract lead, cadmium, and nickel from the plot of land, ridding it free of contamination. Wow. With thousands of contaminated sites in the United States alone, we could really use hemp right now. So what I'm saying is hemp can single-handedly clean up our industrial mess, provide us with a faster and more stable commercial products. Talk about killing two birds with one stone. Now that I've reminded you of how our current plastic, fuel, and petroleum depletion is unsustainable, and shown you how hemp can solve these plastic pollution problems and save us from playing real-life Jumanji, I urge you to share this information and help to push our government to do the right thing, install the infrastructure, and let's take one giant leap into sustainability once and for all. Thanks.